Hello, I am Pramod Kumar. Today we will discuss macroeconomics. Chapter is income determination and the items are short run fixed price analysis of product market. Next is a point on the aggregate demand curve. Third is effects of autonomous change on equilibrium demand in product market, multiplier mechanism and paradox of thrift. First of all, we will know what is equilibrium. In the chapter so many times equilibrium word has been used. So, in economics, economic equilibrium, where what happens? Economic equilibrium is a situation which economic forces such as demand and supply are balanced, right? That is a situation in which demand and supply are balanced. If you see this here, OQ horizontal and that is quantity, OP vertical price. So you will find at P1 quantity produced is Q1 and this upward going is supply, downward coming is demand, right? So what happens? When price goes up, supply goes up, demand comes down, right? When price comes down, demand goes up and supply comes down, right? So this point is called where intersection of supply and demand is there at P1 of price and Q1 of output, that is called market equilibrium. Here in a stable position they are there and external forces are not in a position to influence price or demand, right? So now we go ahead, we will rub it off. This I just wanted to know, you to know, because everywhere equilibrium has been used. So now whatever we discuss, we'll discuss in equilibrium situation. So we go to the short run fixed price analysis of the product market. So here we want to derive aggregate demand, and what are the two conditions? Fixed price and fixed rate of interest, right? Fixed price of final goods and constant rate of interest in the market, and then we are talking of deriving aggregate demand. So what is aggregate demand actually? What is aggregate demand? In equilibrium position which we have discussed here, supply, market supply or output will be equal to market demand. Why? Whatever goods have been produced, an equivalent amount has gone to the factors of production by way of wages to labor, rent to land, interest to capital, profit to entrepreneurs. Because here we have assumed that government imposed taxes are not there, nor subsidies are there, right? So whatever value of goods produced is equal to product payment made to the factors of production. So whatever is the output, which will be equal to the demand. So in equilibrium state, x and t, which we had discussed in the last video, x and t means which we plan, right? Ex post means which has already happened. So y is equal to what it is equal to? Yes, right? This is marginal propensity to consume, right? Everything that we earn is not spent. Something is saved. That is called marginal propensity to save. But here we need to remember, we had discussed last video that we cannot have zero consumption, right? So there needs to be some autonomous expenses in the expenditure in the economy. What is autonomous expenditure? those expenditures which are essential, necessary and must be incurred even if the income is zero. Even if the income is zero, autonomous expenses in the economy must be incurred because people need to have subsistence amount of consumption and people need to have some amount of investment to keep things going. So that autonomous level of consumption is denoted as C bar and autonomous level of investment is mentioned as I bar, and this is called A bar. Autonomous expenses is equal to this, right? So what does it come? We come to X and equilibrium output of final goods is equal to, what is it equal to? A bar plus Cy. A bar is autonomous consumption, expenditure and consumption, autonomous expenditure and investment plus marginal propensity to consume into final goods, right? This is the formula of aggregate demand. So Y is equal to this is equal to AD, aggregate demand. This is the, or you can say Y is equal to A bar plus Cy, right? Or Y is equal to A bar, we have made C bar plus I bar plus Cy is equal to aggregate demand, or aggregate demand is equal to A bar plus Cy, right? So now we go to an example. How do we derive that, right? Suppose we take a figure that the equilibrium output of final goods is 200, right? And this is 40, this is 50, and marginal propensity to consume is 0.8, means whatever additional income is generated, 80% of that is consumed. That is called marginal propensity to consume. Additional consumption as a ratio of additional income. So suppose we take equilibrium output of final goods is equal to 200, right? What we are trying to do? We are trying to derive aggregate demand. This is the supply side, this is the demand side. Suppose autonomous consumption is 40 plus autonomous investment is 10 plus marginal propensity to consume is 0.8 into, what is that? 200. So what do we get? 40 plus 50, 200 into 0.8, 160. 160 and 50, 210. So demand is more than supply. So this is not the equilibrium level of output, right? This is not the equilibrium level of output. So we change this. We try to get it at 300, right? At 300 we get 40 plus 10 plus 0.8 into 300. What do we get? 40 plus 10, 50. 300 into 0.8, 240. 240 and 50 is equal to 290. So this is also not the equilibrium level of output. Here what has happened? Here supply is 200, demand is 210. Demand is more than supply, right? So there is no equilibrium. Here what happens? Supply is 300, demand is 290. Demand is lower than supply. There is no equilibrium. Let us assume 250. So 250 is equal to 40 plus investment 10 plus 0.8 into 250. 40, 10, 50, 250 into 0.8, 200. So we come to exactly 250. So here, what has happened? equilibrium output of final goods is equal to equilibrium demand, right? So here both are equal, right? Both are equal, so we got at 250. Now what happens here? What are the variables? Can it be changed? How does it change? You would have seen that A bar is equal to C bar plus I bar, right? So this is a combination of both of these two. So suppose we keep consumption as constant and increase investment from 10 to 20. What will happen then? 40 plus 20, 60, plus 0.8 into 250, 200, plus 60, it becomes 260. Once again, it is not equilibrium, right? So that way, these are the variables which can determine this one, whether equilibrium supply is, equilibrium output is there or not, and where there is equilibrium demand or not, where there is equilibrium position in the market or not, right? So this A bar is made of these two things. So here you have understood clearly. Suppose we take equilibrium level of output as 200, 40 is consumption, 10 is investment, and 0.8 is the marginal propensity to consume, and into 200, this one. 40 plus 10, 50, 200 into 0.8, 160, it comes to 210. Output is more, output is 200, demand is 210, demand is more, equilibrium is not there. Then we take 300, consumption plus investment plus 0.8 into 300, 240, 50, 290. Supply is, output is 300, demand is 290, demand is less, there is no equilibrium. At 250, it is equal, right? And it can be influenced by change in either consumption, autonomous consumption or autonomous investment. Then this will change, equilibrium will change. Now we have prepared a diagram. This diagram we had seen last time. B is equal to MA plus E, right? B is equal to MA plus E, and what was M? M was greater than 0 and it was slope of the straight line. What was E? E was also a greater than 0 and it was here. It was falling on this line, right? So now we can see it here. Aggregate demand, Y is, what is Y? Equilibrium output of final goods. Output, aggregate demand. So what happens? Suppose we take here aggregate demand 1 and aggregate demand 2, right? And aggregate demand 1 is equal to A bar 1 plus Cy. This is marginal propensity to consume, and at A bar 2 it is AD2 is equal to A bar 2 plus Cy, right? So when we will explain this, the lines AD1 and AD2, AD1 and AD2 show aggregate demand at this level and at this level, right? Correspond to the two values of, and they correspond to the two values of A bar 1, A bar 2. Why? Because A bar 1 and AD1 converge here at E1. A bar 1 and AD1 converge at E1. A bar 2, AD2 converge at E2. But at this point, this output level you will find OY1, what is happening? Demand is more. Where is the demand? Demand is up to F, right? So what is happening? Output is 0 to y asterisk 1, this is the output. Though A1 has intersected AD1 at this, aggregate demand is more than that. It means output is less at this point and aggregate demand is more. So there is no equilibrium. So we try to locate where is the equilibrium. So when we go to AD2, aggregate demand 2, we find that A bar 2 cuts it at E2, right? And it also converges with Y asterisk 2. Y asterisk 2 is the output and OAD2 is the aggregate demand and A bar 2 cuts it at E2. So here is the equilibrium, right? Because here output is equal to aggregate demand, but not at this point, because here aggregate demand is more, output is less, right? So now we go ahead and you will find, now we go to multiplier mechanism. Here what did we see? This at this point the aggregate demand is more than this, right? This is greater this amount, more than this amount, whereas the change in investment, what we had presumed, that the investment changes, autonomous expenditure on investment, from 10 to 20, right? So it has changed only by this much amount, but you will find there is a lot of change in the aggregate demand. So what has happened? Though autonomous investment has increased only by 10, what has happened? Aggregate demand has increased by more than 10, right? That we can explain here. Autonomous investment has increased by 10. In lieu of 10, it has increased to 20. But aggregate demand has increased by more than 10. So how do we explain that? Here you will see, when autonomous investment increases, delta autonomous investment increases, the AD1 line shifts. AD1 is here, it shifts to AD2, right? The value of aggregate demand at output Y1 is Y1F, aggregate demand Y1F, right? Which is greater than the value of output, is equal to OY1 is equal to Y1E1. Output equal size is this, but it is more than that. Aggregate demand is more than that. And how much it is more than that? It is more than by E1F, right? It is more than by E1F. E1F measures the amount of excess demand. E1F, as I have already said, measures the amount of excess demand that emerges in the economy as a result of this delta I bar, right? Result in the increase in autonomous expenditure. Thus, E1 no longer represents the equilibrium point, right? To find the new equilibrium in the final goods market, we must look for the point where the new aggregate demand line AD2 intersects the 45-degree line at E2. So that is the equilibrium point, this one, not this, right? The new equilibrium values of output and aggregate demand are Y2 and AD2. Here, Y2, AD2 intersection is at E2. Note that in the new equilibrium, output and aggregate demand have increased by amount E1G. Output has increased by this, in case of AD2, increased by this, and E1G is equal to E2J. What is that E2J? This is the E2J. E1G, E2J, right? Which is greater than the initial increment in autonomous expenditure. Delta I is equal to E1F or E2J. Thus, an initial increment in the autonomous expenditure seems to have a spillover effect on the equilibrium values, right? Which I have already explained. Autonomous expenditure increased by 10, but aggregate demand increased by more than 10. So, what is that multiplier mechanism? We will see that, right? See what happens. What is that multiplier mechanism? See, suppose output or income has increased, right? Output or income has increased, right? So what happens? What impact is it has? Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. What happens? Right? Here is consumption. Here is aggregate demand. Aggregate demand. Right? So when output income increases in round 1 by 10, aggregate demand increases by 10, right? And consumption, why consumption doesn't increase? Because when the demand increases, it takes some time for the supply to match the increased demand, and we are talking of the short run, right? So output or income has increased. What is output increase? Whatever output has increased, that amount has gone to the payment to the factors of production. So output increased, amount increased is the same, 10 rupees, right? Aggregate demand has increased by 10 rupees due to increase in income, but consumption is yet to increase. In second round, what happens? Output or income increases by how much? See, marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. So in the second round, it will increase by 8 rupees only, right? Aggregate demand will also increase by 8 rupees and consumption will increase by 8 rupees. In the further next round, what happens? 0.8 of this means 6.4 will be increase in output or income, and aggregate demand will also increase by this, and here also that increase will be there. And in the fourth round, 0.8 of this, what will be that? 5.12. 5.12. So what do you see here? What is happening? With each progressive round, the impact of increase in output or income or aggregate demand keeps on declining. Though it is having a multiplier effect, only 10 rupees initially increased. But the same 10 rupees, see, when the income increases, people go to the market with increased demand. So manufacturers, what do? They try to increase their production, right? So when they increase their production and output, more money goes to the people, right? But people can spend only 0.8 of this. So first round it will be 10 rupees, second round it will become 0.8 of 10, marginal propensity to consume. Third round it will become 0.8 of 8 rupees, 640. Fourth round it will become, so it will keep on declining at each round, right? And at a later stage it will have negligible impact on the market demand. So that is called multiplier mechanism, right? And the formula is 1 upon, how do we calculate this? 1 minus C. So suppose this is 1. So 1 minus C, what is that? 0.8 marginal propensity to consume. So 1 upon 0.20 is equal to 5, right? Is equal to 5. So here the multiplier effect is 5. So the more this C increases, what happens? The more this C increases, multiplier increases in the size. Suppose this is only 0.20, so 1 minus 0.20 is equal to 0.80 is equal to 1.25, right? When this is a small, multiplier is a small. When this C is bigger than this, larger than this, then multiplier becomes greater, bigger, larger, right? So it depends upon the value of the marginal propensity to consume, right? Now we have a very unique thing that is called paradox of thrift. What is that? Thrift means I spend less, save more. What is that? So what happens? Suppose in the economy people are having 250 rupees, right? 250 rupees. So they are consuming 0.8 is equal to 200. So consumption is 200, investment or saving is 50 rupees. Keeping in view some war or something coming up, bad times coming up, people try to save more. So what happens? People try to save more means suppose in lieu of 200 they save 225 and they save more, consume less. So they consume 150, save or invest 100. So what happens? When they are saving more, consuming less money is going into the market, and suppliers, what they do, manufacturers, they reduce their output. So when they reduce their output, naturally whatever factor payments they are making to the labor, capital, entrepreneur, land, it becomes reduced. So less money reaches the hands of the people. So when less money reaches the hands of the people, out of that less money they hold more, because marginal propensity to save has gone up. They consume less, save more. So further less demand goes to the market, and further less production is carried out by the suppliers, manufacturers. The less the suppliers, manufacturer produce, the less money goes into the hands of the factors of production, and once again they spend less in the market. So finally what happens? When people save more, when marginal propensity to save is more, most likely what happens? Either people spend the same amount or more amount. Either people save the same amount or less amount. That is called paradox of thrift. We are thinking by becoming more thrifty, we are trying to save more, but no. What we have seen, 250 rupees, 0.8 is the marginal propensity to consume, so we are consuming 200, saving 50, right? So what happens? We see that some bad times are coming, so we save more, consume less. So we are consuming 150, saving 100. So what is happening? When we are consuming less, producers are manufacturing less. So when producers are reducing the output, less money goes into the hands of the factors of production, right? And when less money goes into the hands of the factors of production, less demand is generated. So producers suppress their output once again. So when output is suppressed once again, further less amount goes into the hands of the factors of production as wages, interest, rent, profit, and there once again their demand goes down because they hold more, consume less. So that is called paradox of thrift. By saving more, it is not essential that we are by being thrifty, it is not essential that we are saving more as compared to the previous times. It could happen that by going into that higher MPS, marginal propensities to save, we could be saving an equal amount as earlier time or maybe even less, right? So I hope you understood it in a good way. I tried to make it simple, and in case of any doubt, you may please approach me on my email ID, which is there at the thumbnail to the video. And main things that you need to understand is why. What is Y? Equilibrium output of final goods. Bigger C, capital C, total consumption expenditure ex ante. A smaller c, that is marginal propensity to consume. That is a ratio of increase in consumption as a ratio of increase in additional income. Right? Increase in consumption upon increase in additional income. I is equal to investment expenditure ex ante. AD is equal to aggregate demand ex ante for final goods, right? And Y is equal to AD because market is in equilibrium, right? And AD is equal to A bar plus CY. What is A bar? C bar plus I bar, right? What is CY? Y, supply of this equilibrium output of final goods, right, into marginal propensity to consume, right? Thank you.